Hello, Internet. We're back again with our daily Bible reading for the year. So it is January 4th, and today we will start with the Old Testament, Genesis chapter 8, verse 1, till chapter 10, verse 32. God didn't forget about Noah and all the animals on the boat. He sent a wind to blow across the waters, and the floods began to disappear. For the subterranean water sources ceased their gushing, and the torrential rain subsided. So the flood gradually receded until 150 days after it began, the boat came to a rest upon the mountains of Ararat. 3 months later, as the waters continued to go down, other mountain peaks appeared. After another 40 days, Noah opened the porthole and released a raven that flew back and forth until the earth was dry. Meanwhile, he sent out a dove to see if it could find any dry ground. But the dove found no place to light, and returned to Noah, for the water was still too high. So Noah held out his hand and drew the dove back into the boat. 7 days later, Noah released the dove again, and this time, towards the evening, the bird returned to him with an olive leaf in her beak. So Noah knew that the water was almost gone. A week later, he released the dove again, and this time she didn't come back. 29 days after that, Noah opened the door to look, and the water was gone. 8 more weeks went by. Then, at last, the earth was dry. Then God told Noah, "You may all go out. Release all the animals, birds, and reptiles, so that they will breed abundantly and reproduce in great numbers." So the boot, so the boat, I'm just gonna have to call it ark. It messes with me every time I say boat in this story. So the ark was soon empty. Noah, his wife, and his sons and their wives all disembarked, along with all the animals, reptiles, and birds. All left the ark in pairs and groups. Kind of funny. Even the book switched back to ark for that last one. Every other time it's been boat, but all left the ark in pairs and groups. Even whoever did this translation got tired of saying boat when he knew it was always supposed to be ark. Okay, sorry. I had a little moment of victory there. And then Noah built an altar and sacrificed on it some of the animals and birds. Remember, they had extra. God had designated for that purpose. I stopped mid sentence. You get it. It basically said what I said. And Jehovah was pleased with the sacrifice, and said to himself, I will never do it again. I will never again curse the earth, destroying all living things, even though man's bent is always toward evil from his earliest youth, and even though he does such wicked things. As long as the earth remains, there will be springtime and harvest, cold and heat, winter and summer, day and night. God blessed Noah and his sons, and told them to have many children and to repopulate the earth. All wild animals and birds and fish will be afraid of you, God told him, for I have placed them in your power, and they are yours to use for food, in addition to grain and vegetables. But never eat animals unless their lifeblood has been drained off, and murder is forbidden. Man killing animals must die, and any man who murders shall be killed. For to kill a man is to kill one made like God. Yes, have many children and repopulate the earth and subdue it. So, hear that, hippies? And we're supposed to eat the animals. We're supposed to subdue them. And we're supposed to execute murderers. I'm sorry, that has always bothered me, especially like there was this one, I don't know, law show. I don't remember which one it was. I don't think it was CSI. I think it was like Law and Order or something. But on that show, one of the characters was like, "Well, I'm a Christian, and I don't remember there ever being anything about executing, about how do they phrase it in legal terms? Corporal punishment? No, that's a group punishment. Lethal. Doesn't matter. She was against executions because she said she didn't see it anywhere in the Bible. I'm like, you didn't read very far. It's in Genesis. Um, sorry, pet peeve of mine. Then God told Noah and his sons, I solemnly promise you and your children and the animals you brought with you, all these beasts and cattle and wild animals, that I will never again send another flood to destroy the earth. And I seal this promise with this sign. I have placed my rainbow in the clouds as a sign of my promise until the end of time, to you and all the earth. When I send clouds over the earth, the rainbow will be seen in the clouds, and I will remember my promise to you and to every being that never again will the floods come and destroy all life. For I will see the rainbow in the cloud and remember my eternal promise to every living being on earth. Our thing. I don't like that it was stolen by a different group of people. You know the ones. Anyway, the names of Noah's three sons were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Ham is the ancestor of the Canaanites. From these three sons of Noah came all the nations of the earth. Noah became a farmer and planted a vineyard, and he made wine. One day, as he was drunk and he lay naked in his tent, Ham, the father of Canaan, saw his father's nakedness and went outside and told his two brothers. Then Shem and Japheth took a robe and held it over their shoulders, and walking backwards into the tent, let it fall across their father to cover his nakedness, as they looked the other way. When Noah woke from his drunken stupor and learned what had happened and what Ham, his younger son, had done, he cursed Ham's descendants. A curse upon the Canaanites, he swore. May they be the lowest of slaves, the descendants of Shem and Japheth. Then he said, God bless Shem, and may Canaan be his slave. God bless Japheth, and let him share the prosperity of Shem, and let Canaan be his slave. Noah lived another 350 years after the flood, and was 950 years old at his death. I've heard that particular part of the story interpreted a few different ways. It's always, as far as I've read, been him seeing it, but like somebody once told me that the way it was phrased implied that he didn't just look, he like did something to his naked dad. But I can't verify that, and obviously this version of the story says very clearly whatever its opinion is of the story, which in this time is just he saw him naked. Which that seems like a lot to curse your entire descendants branch for, but hmm, nobody in the Bible is perfect. everybody, everybody, even Noah, even David, even Elijah, everybody sins and does stupid stuff at some point. So this is Noah's stupid thing, if that's the case, which it probably is. To be fair, I was just letting you know that one. I've heard that sometimes there's more to this particular story in some interpretations. I don't know which ones. I don't know if they're real. That's just something that that was from like a Christian, um, not a scholar. I was just like a guy who's pretty knowledgeable. Told me about it once, and I've never checked it out. So maybe I'm blowing some up. Who knows? I just thought I'd make you aware of that. Anyway, still more to read. No more genealogies. All right. These are the families of Shem, Ham, and Japheth, who were the three sons of Noah, for sons were born to them after the flood. The sons of Japheth were Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javan, Tubal, Meshech, Tiras. The sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz, Riphath, Togarma. The sons of Javan, Elishah, Tarshish, Kittim, Dodanim. Their descendants became the maritime nations of various lands, each with a separate language. The sons of Ham were Cush, Mizraim, Put, Canaan. Why didn't they put an and there? That's weird. Sorry. The sons of Cush were Seba, Havilah, Sabta, Ramah, Sabteka. The sons of Ramah were Sheba, Dedan. Maybe it's Sheba, or maybe that's just a masculine name in these times. Anyway, one of the descendants of Cush was Nimrod, who became the first of the kings. He was a mighty hunter, blessed of God, and his name became proverbial. People would speak of someone as being like Nimrod, a mighty hunter, blessed of God. Just a small caveat. This is why Bugs Bunny called Elmer Fudd Nimrod. He was sarcastically referring to him as one of the greatest hunters ever. And it just became, because not a lot of kids knew that, they associated Nimrod with stupid Elmer Fudd. And thus it changed in our dialect from there. I find that funny. If you didn't know, now you do. The heart of his empire included Babel, Erech, Akkad, Calneh, and the land of Shinar. From there he extended his reign to Assyria. He built Nineveh, Rebothir, Calah, Resen, which is located between Nineveh and Calah, the main city of his empire. Mizraim was the ancestor of the people inhabiting these areas. Ludim, Anamim, Lehabim, Satuhim, Pathrusim, Kalshuhim, from whom came the Philistines. They'll show up again a lot. And Caphtorim. Canaan's oldest son was Sidon, and he was also the father of Heth. From Canaan descended these nations: the Jebusites, the Amorites, the Girgashites, the Hivites, the Archistites, the Sinitites, the Arvadites, the Zemarites, the Hamathites. Some of those were hard to say, man. Eventually, the descendants of Canaan spread from Sidon all the way to Gerar in the Gaza Strip. We know where that is. And to Sodom, Gomorrah, Adam, Zeboim, near Lasha. These then were the descendants of Ham, spread abroad in many lands and nations with many languages. Eber descended from Shem, the oldest brother of Japheth. Here is a list of Shem's older descendants: Elam, Ashur, Aprashad, Lud, Aram. Aram's sons were Uz, Hul, Gether, Mash. Arpachshad's son was Shelah, and Shelah's son was Eber. Two sons were born to Eber: Peleg, meaning division, for during his time the people of the world were separated and dispersed, and Joktan, Peleg's brother. Okay, I have to stop briefly again because of Peleg. That is another example of them picking a version of how words could be interpreted and just saying that's how it was. Because in Peleg, it's like, in the translations I'm used to reading, it says in that time the lands were divided, which a lot of people think is when, like, the land bridge between Asia and America broke off and melted, or maybe there was like continents moving further apart from each other, like the physical land was separating. Now, this version where it's just the people separating is one of the theories, but again, we don't know that. Maybe that's the correct interpretation, maybe it's not. I don't like them in this version taking things we like trying to demystify the Bible, if that makes sense. Like, there are things in the Bible that we know what they mean, and there are things in the Bible we're not really sure what they mean, but we get the idea that something important happened. And this is another example, like with the Nephilim earlier, that was a potential theory that some people thought was right, and they're just like, okay, that's what happened. And this again with Peleg is like, that's one of several theories about what the language means, and they're just like, okay, that's the version we'll pick. So again, just an alert: the Peleg's time may be more significant than this particular interpretation is leading, or it may be right. Just be aware. Do your own research and make your own decision about it. Anyway, nobody cares about Joktan, Peleg's brother. Joktan was father of Almadad, Shelefith, Hazarmaveth, Jera, Haram, Uzal, Dikla, don't laugh, Obal, Abimelech, Sheba, Ophir, Havilah, and Jobab. Hey, Jobab. Sorry, that one made me laugh. I don't know why. These descendants of Joktan lived all the way from Mesha to the eastern hills of Sephar. These, then, were the descendants of Shem, classified according to their political groupings, languages, and geographical locations. All of the men listed above descended from Noah, through many generations living in the various nations that developed after the flood. I love the Bible. I hate the genealogies. Okay. Anyway, that's all of the Old Testament reading for tonight. We're moving on to the New Testament, Matthew chapter 4, verses 12 through 25. When Jesus heard that John had been arrested, he left Judea and returned home to Nazareth in Galilee. But soon he moved to Capernaum, beside the lake of Galilee, close to Zebulun and Naphtali. This fulfilled Isaiah's prophecy. The land of Zebulun and the land of Naphtali beside the lake, and the countryside beyond the Jordan River, and upper Galilee, where so many foreigners live, people who sat in darkness have seen a great light. They sat in the land of death, and the light broke through upon them. From then on, Jesus began to preach, "Turn from sin, and turn to God, for the kingdom of heaven is near." One day, as he was walking along the beach beside the lake of Galilee, he saw two brothers, Simon, also called Peter, and Andrew, out in a boat fishing, with a net, for they were commercial fishermen. Jesus called out, Come along with me, and I will show you how to fish for the souls of men." And they left their nets at once and went with him. A little farther up the beach, he saw two other brothers, James and John, sitting in a boat with their father Zebedee, mending their nets, and he called to them to come too. At once they stopped their work, and leaving their father behind, went with him. Jesus traveled all through Galilee, teaching in Jewish synagogues, everywhere preaching the good news about the kingdom of heaven, and he healed every kind of sickness and disease. The report of his miracles spread far beyond the borders of Galilee, so that sick folk were soon coming to be healed from as far away as Syria. And whatever their illness and pain, or if they were possessed by demons, or were insane or paralyzed, he healed them all. Enormous crowds followed him wherever he went. People from Galilee and the 10 cities and Jerusalem and from all over Judea, and even from across the Jordan River. Now, on to Psalms. We'll be reading chapter 4, verses 1 through 8. O God, you have declared me perfect in your eyes. You have always cared for me in my distress. Now hear me as I call again. Have mercy on me. Hear my prayer. The Lord God hath sons of men will you forever turn our glory into shame by worshipping these silly idols when every claim that's made for them is false. Mark this well. The Lord has set apart the redeemed for himself. Therefore he will listen to me and answer when I call to him. Stand before the Lord in awe, and do not sin against him. Lie quietly upon your bed in silent meditation. Put your trust in the Lord, and offer him pleasing sacrifices. Many say that God will never help us. Prove them wrong, O Lord, by letting the light of your face shine down upon us. Yes, the gladness you have given me is far greater than their joys at harvest, time as they gave as their bountiful crops. I will lie down in peace and sleep, for though I am alone, O Lord, you will keep me safe. All right, and now, last for today, Proverbs chapter 1, verses 20 through 23. Wisdom shouts in the streets for a hearing. She calls out to the crowds along Main Street, and to the judges in their courts, and to everyone in all the land. You simpletons, she cried. How long will you go on being fools? How long will you scoff at wisdom and fight the facts? Come here and listen to me. I pour out the spirit of wisdom upon you and make you wise. I hope you enjoyed today's reading. Have a good evening. Thanks for coming with me on our year-long Bible reading challenge.